This video is sponsored by Leap, A Tale of the Last Days, now available on Amazon. I started making movies way back in the mid-90s when my parents gave me the old VHS camcorder. In the early 2000s, I took a video production class in high school, and that's when things really took off for me. I learned about digital video, and more importantly, editing. I instantly fell in love with it and almost immediately began incorporating basic visual effects into my work. Really basic stuff like making things move backwards by reversing the footage, and also green screens, which really fascinated me for some reason. I also began to dabble with a free 3D program called Blender. A few years go by and I started making independent feature films. In my first movie, I had one shot where I comped an image of a fiery stick over a character's eye, and another where I made a digital eyeball all inside a blender. I also had a shot early on where I wanted to remove some power lines, since the characters were supposed to be in the mountains. I had an idea that maybe I could patch in a tree or something to cover them, but the camera was moving and my editing software didn't have any tracking abilities, so I had to live with it. When I shot my third feature in 2010, I didn't hold myself back while writing the script like I had done previously. The result was that I had a lot of ambitious ideas and had no idea how to pull them off. So I started searching online for things like how to do explosion effects and came across a book called The DV Rebels Guide, an all-digital approach to making killer action movies on the cheap. It had a lot of great information, but the number one takeaway I got from it was that I needed to get and learn a program called Adobe After Effects if I ever wanted to bring my ambitious vision to life. So I start learning the software by following some tutorials at videocopilot.net, and after 2 months, I was ready to confidently shoot my film. We had green screens, bullet hits, muzzle flashes, screen replacements, set extensions, and more. And learning visual effects freed me creatively to do basically whatever I wanted. After that movie, I got a job working on a kids show, and it was my After Effects skills that got me hired. Following that, I took a job at a small company that was producing a documentary series called The Days of Noah, and I became the visual effects supervisor due to my skills. Unfortunately, though, the director had a huge vision, and I realized quickly that my current skill set wasn't going to cut it. So I went to work learning about how they do this kind of stuff in Hollywood, and I began to expand my knowledge. I started doing more complex work in Blender, I learned Nuke, which is the industry standard for compositing, and that brings me to today. When I wrote Leap, A Tale of the Last Days, I knew that I could do all the stuff I wrote in the script, and now that the movie is out on streaming, and I wanted to show you how he did some of the shots that people ask me about, as well as some that nobody notices. Now this video might get a little bit nerdy, might be a little bit long, I don't know yet, we'll see how this all goes, but I will try to walk you through it and explain as we go. So let's jump in. By the way, spoiler alert, we're going to cover a lot of major plot points in the film by taking a look at some of these shots. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, go ahead and find it on streaming, give the movie a watch first, then come back and finish this video and we'll show you how we pulled off the stuff in Leap, A Tale of the Last Days. Alright, now that we're done with the overly produced part of the video, because that intro took me about 2 hours to put together, let's just take a look at some shots from the film, and I'll try to describe what I did. I'm not going to go into full details on here's how compositing works and here's how we put stuff together, because let's face it, at the end of the day, you're going to lose interest doing that. So we'll just jump right in. I think I've got these mostly in order and kind of grouped by types. So starting off here at the beginning, this is a shot from early on in the film where Blake and his dad are out fishing out here in beautiful northwest Montana. And it looks great, it looks gorgeous. This is the final shot as it appears in the film. But what I want to show you is the effect in this is actually kind of small and invisible, but it's this right here. And it's hard to see on our little screens, but I'll zoom in to make it bigger. There was another guy out here fishing, and he's out here casting and doing his thing. And I just decided he's got to go. I want to look like that dad and son are out here, out in the middle of a pristine wilderness by themselves. So we just painted him out. It was a really simple process, just kind of draw a little mask around the guy, follow him through the shot, and you replace it with another part of the scene. Easy peasy, we're done and good to go. Now this is a shot, if I make this back to full screen here, that not a lot of people realize is actually an effect shot. If we just watch this real quick. And actually, every shot of Blake in this scene is an effect shot. Can you spot it? The effect is the boom operator standing in the window. When we were filming this, it was a really hot and bright day. You can see how bright the sun is and how dark the shadows are because I'm trying to expose for that. And I couldn't see my screen very well on the monitor of the camera. So I didn't realize that our boom operator was present in every single shot of Blake in the scene. And so what we ended up having to do is basically do a clean version of this and track it into the scene. And then we had to rotoscope or cut out the main actor as he crossed in front of it. Because otherwise you would have this big oval coming in front of him here, because that was the section we replaced, was this entire oval pane of the glass. So it's amazing, again, when you see the before and afters on how that played out, just what a difference that makes. So those are some examples of removes. We also did a lot of changing of stuff as well. And that's where we get here. So this is Liz coming out of her aunt's coffee shop and saying goodbye, and Roman comes and, you know, yada yada. Well, the effect on this one is actually the signage up here at the top. So we'll just push in a little bit so we can see that. Okay, so we can see the Mountain Peak Perk logo. It matches the one on her shirt. We got this entrance only sign. But when we're out there filming for real, it said the Garden Bar, because that was the name of the establishment we shot at, and it had a Budweiser logo. And so this was the way to fix it. You just replace the signs. And I try to use as much of the real stuff that was there as possible, build the signs up in Photoshop, and then you just patch them on inside a Nuke. And again, just like the door shots with the boom operator, you can see our actor walks in front of them. And so we have to go through and cut him out frame by frame as he travels in front of it. Similar to this, same effect is, again, the signs in this close-up. Only now you can see they're a little bit more blown out and they're blurred out as well. And that was to match the original footage as shot. But it's exactly the same stuff. You know, you're just adding in new signage, you track it into the scene, and we have to cut out the existing actors who are there and blocking the views at different points. And it turns out pretty well. Similar techniques of planar tracking, corner pinning, and all that was all the TV stuff. And so if I flip this back, we can see the TV down here in the bottom corner. We'll just play the shot. And I'm showing you this one because this was actually the most difficult shot of that set to do. And that's because I had no tracking data. There was nothing I could track. So the only way I got that TV to even remotely stick to where it's supposed to be was this curtain rod up here at the top. It's actually in the full shot the entire time. You just can't see it right now because of the black bars. But it was there in the raw plate. And so I was able to track that. And that allowed me to put the image on in front of the TV. And you can see when we shot it, it was just a blue screen, right? There was nothing fancy going on with that. I knew that we would have to put the image on the screen later, and so that's why we went with the blue, and it worked out really nice. This is one of the longer visual effects shots in the film, and a lot of people wouldn't even realize that this is in fact visual effects, but this was actually filmed at a laser therapy clinic out in Kalispell, Montana, and they let us film there. And so I wanted it to look like it was an emergency room, a hospital area. And so the effect was adding the signage. It says emergency, and then we've got all the navigational signs here. I made these just from reference. I got online, looked up a bunch of hospital signs, made these up in Photoshop. They're just simple 2D layers and have a bevel and a drop shadow applied. Same thing over here on the emergency sign. The actual shot itself is locked off in the way we shot it. So when I play that, you can see nothing's moving around or anything. And so that was really easy to stick them on. The only thing we had to worry about was the doctor wiping the frame. And just like before, you just cut her out. Cutting out around the shoulders and everything and around the hair. And it goes by so quick, it just works. Bumping ahead to the funeral. Okay. I did not have the money for a real casket on set while we were filming. And so this is what we used. This is probably one of the more extreme before and afters you'll see. The tennis balls were laid out and measured to be the right size and shape of the casket, although the casket actually went a little bit longer just to make the dimensions work, but it was close enough. And then the point of the ice chest was to give all the actors something uniform to look at. And so they're all staring at the exact same spot of the ice chest, and it makes it easy to go in and add this in. I use Blender for all my 3D work still, even 25 years later since I started using it, and it works great. One of my favorite little pieces about this that makes the casket look so real, if you look, is all these little blades of grass sticking out in front of the casket there. It's something I'm really proud of. It's a technique that I came up with on my own. I'm sure it's been used in Hollywood by other people, but it's part of my little secret sauce that makes it so great. So again, we'll just watch this here. Here's the shot playing through. It looks good. And then here is the original version of that shot. So you can get the before and after. Then we've got this. This is actually the most complicated shot in the film. In fact, I will go ahead and just cut in a picture of the nuke script real quick, just so you can see how much work is being done to make this thing happen. There's a lot of assets and a lot of elements. I actually don't even have the before version of this one to show you right now because there was just so much that was done. And it was also one of the first shots I completed on the film. This was actually done by the time we started shooting. But just to kind of point out a few things that are in this one shot, we have a matte painting back here with the mountains. We got the CGI helicopter. We've changed the name of the building because this was actually a middle school. We've changed the colors of the bus. We've added some digital trees. We got an ambulance back here with flashing lights. In fact, we should be able to see that. Yeah, you can see the lights flashing right there. We've got the horde of people. Okay, that's all done in Blender. People running is from Blender. You've got a sentry guard here, standing guard. He actually moves and has some animation to him. We add in the military Humvee and stuff like that. There's a lot of stuff happening in this shot. And then the dashboard and the glass is actually fake as well too. This was a static locked off shot, and we add the camera move later on, and you can see we get this nice parallax, and it really just makes it look great. Probably one of my favorite shots in the film. Definitely the most complicated shot I've ever worked on in my career. Now, we're almost done here. I just want to show you a couple more things. This is one of the shots everyone has questions about. How did you do the blood coming out of the sink? And it's gloopy and everything. It's so great, so disgusting, and I love it. This was done with me actually filming dripping blood, glooping blood out of a bottle in front of my green screen. I just dumped it into a bowl, and that gave me a blood asset that I was able to stabilize and track into the shot. We had the blood splatters here in the sink, a little bit of rotor work to trim it off, and you're good. This whole shot took me maybe an hour tops to do. It was actually one of the easier ones to do in the film. This is the other one that a lot of people think took a lot of time and trouble to do. They're like, oh my gosh, how did you turn the river to blood? Because what this actually looked like was just this. It's just water coming by. And my secret on this one is a color corrector, I should say. And so in the nuke script, we've got our main footage. There's a color corrector below it, making everything red. And then I use a black and white mask that I paint and track into the scene to affect where the color correction is applied. And of course, then we have to roto out the feet as well. But the end result is actually pretty convincing. And then finally, we get into the big kahuna, the mama load shots at the end of that final scene 1,000 years into the future. And this always blows people's minds when this scene comes up and that first opening shot, which is not this one, but it's a similar shot, everybody goes, whoa. And I was inspired to do this from watching Marvel movies, where they shoot everything on a green screen and they do this digital backlot style of filmmaking. So that's what I did. We filmed the actress on my green screen in my garage studio, and you key it out. You throw a couple chroma keys on, a little bit of rotoscoping. So here's the shot as it played. She was stationary on a tripod. And then I'm able to extract her out and put her into a 3D scene. So I built up this destroyed city in Blender. That took me about 2 weeks to do. And then I did the orb. That was an effect I made inside of Fusion. And that's on its own little 3D thing. And we've got interactive lighting. If you notice as it pulses, the lighting down here gets brighter and dimmer and stuff as it goes by. And yeah, it really just came together quite nice. So that is a short and sweet look at the homemade effects in Leap: A Tale of the Last Days. Now there's a lot of effects in the movie. A lot of them are repetitious. It's a lot of the same kind of stuff I've just shown you here. But you know, I'm doing this with a lot of affordable software. The most expensive tool in my arsenal is Nuke. That is expensive, but I like compositing with that even more than compositing inside of Fusion. And it's just amazing what we as independent filmmakers have the ability to do now in this day and age. It's just really exciting, and I can't wait to continue to apply these skills to other projects moving forward. So thank you so much for watching this. Don't forget to purchase your own copy of Leap: A Tale of the Last Days on streaming, now available. You'll find links in the description below. I'm Christopher Temple, and we'll see you next time.